Let us go to the next slide. Now, when we have to think about goal, financial goal, we are talking about the financial goal since the beginning of this lecture. Now, what should be our goal? Our goal should be SMART goals. Now, what is a SMART goal? This is actually abbreviated form. So many of you might be familiar with this SMART goal. So let me just have a quick recap of that abbreviation. Specific, SMART, the S stands for specific. Our goal should be specific. As I told you during this lecture that whatever your goals are, you should think specifically that I want this much, this thing within this date, within this time, with this amount. Everything should be specified. It should not be vague कि मुझे घर बनाना है, मुझे शादी करनी है, कब करनी है, किससे करनी है, कहाँ करनी है, कितना रुपया लगेगा उसके लिए. Everything should be very specific. Then it should be measurable. Anything which cannot be quantified, which cannot be measurable, that should not be your goal, at least when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your financial personal finance matters. So it should be measurable, that there are some certain things like love, intelligence, your honesty. These are the things which cannot be measured. So your goal, it should be, you should have a measurable goal, that I will love my wife, I will love my husband very much. Okay, it's good that you should love your spouse, but this is not measurable. हाँ, और जमीन जायदाद से कुछ नहीं होता है, प्यार होना चाहिए लोगों के बीच में. But प्यार तो ठीक है, but how will you quantify? So definitely you should have love, you should display love to your near and dear ones, but that should not be your goal. And that should be your goal, but that will not count to your finances. So it should be measurable. It should be achievable. ठीक है? जैसे actually this is for the boys, and girls please excuse me, that boys normally they make this kind of promises to their girlfriends that मैं तुम्हारे लिए चांद तारे तोड़ कर लाऊंगा. बट चांद तारे तोड़ कर लाऊंगा, ओके ठीक है, प्रॉमिस अच्छा है, बोलने में अच्छा लगता है कि तुम्हारे लिए मैं चांद तारे तोड़ करके लाऊंगा और तुम्हारे जुल्फों को मैं संवारूंगा, हीरे से इससे उससे कर दूंगा. बट दीज आर नॉट अचीवेबल गोल्स. सो द गर्ल्स, यू शुड नॉट बिलीव इन दिस काइंड ऑफ promises. These are not achievable. Okay, but on the contrary, if the boy is telling you that at the end of year 1, on 31st of December 2020 or 2021, I will be giving you one diamond ring. This is very specific, this is measurable, and it might be measurable given the condition of the boy. So this is very achievable goal, and it should be realistic. Okay, any goal which is not realistic might be achievable but not possible given the current situation, given the law prevailing in the country, given the rituals and the customs prevailing in the society. This is not realistic, so that is also not a goal. And always it should be time bound. The goal should be time bound. The first thing, that whatever is your goal, always attach time to that goal, that within this time I will be doing this. So it should be time bound. So if your goal, financial goals, are specific, these are measurable, these are achievable, these are realistic and time bound. Just one example of realistic: suppose my income is, or my saving every year is only 10 lakhs of rupees, and I am making a goal that after 5 years I will be making an investment of 100 crore. So 10 lakh multiplied by 5 will be 50 lakh only, and I cannot make investment of 100 crore. This is very unrealistic assumption, and this is a very unrealistic goal. But if I'm making a target, taking a target of 1 crore, so okay, after 5 years my income will be only my savings will be only 50 lakhs. So remaining 50 lakh are achievable and it seems realistic. So I can think of making that kind of goal. Fine. So it should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time bound. This you should take into consideration very carefully while prioritizing your goals. Okay. Now, how to achieve your goals? You have decided, you have defined your goals: short-term goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals. Now the question is how to achieve it. So all your goals will not be of equal importance. Some of the goals, they will be coming more early in your life. Some of the goals will be coming later, and some of the goals will be coming even later, even after that. So arrange all those goals in order of their time to reach, and plan investment for each goal. Already we have discussed about that. And short-term goals. So what kind of investment you should make? So for the short-term goals, you should make risk-free investment. This is advisable because if there are fluctuations, then in the short term you will not be having too much of the time to wait to get good returns, because normally in the long run the risky returns, we have fluctuations. So suppose I want something after 1 year, I make investment in some investment which is risky, say stock market, and after 1 year when actually I need to realize those investments, so the market has fallen down. So that's why the short-term goals, we should not make investment in to realize short-term goals, we should not make any investment in a risky instrument. So for short-term goals, the risk-free avenues are like bank fixed deposit, savings account, government bonds, government securities. These are the some of the risk-free avenues where you should make investment to meet our short-term goals. And long-term goals by long-term risky assets. Suppose your goal is of 10 years, so you can make investment in some equity shares where even the volatility will be there, but you have sufficient time in your hand to wait and to wait for the market to correct so that you can have some good return. Now the question is, we have discussed about the risk-free investment and risky assets or risky investment. Now the question is, what is risk? Risk hai to isk hai. Now what is risk? Risk is, in simplest term, risk is deviation from the expected return. Now it can be positive, it can be negative, both. But risk, as I told you, that it is thought, it is conveyed to us, or it has been implanted in our mind that risk is always negative. But if you just go to the theoretical definition of risk, technical definition of risk, then it is not so. For example, I expected a return of 5%, but I got a return of 15%. Is it risky? Definitely I will be very happy that I expected a return of 5%, but I got a return of 15%, so I will be happy. But technically, with all the measures available in our book, in our corporate finance literature, it is risky. How? Because till now we have devised the most suitable definition of measuring risk is the standard deviation. And what is standard deviation? Our deviation from the expected mean. So we expected 5%, our actual return is 15%, so there is a deviation of 10%. And by definition this will be risky. Okay, but that kind of risk is good. But whenever the word risk is uttered in our ears, or we just hear the word risk, actually it gives a very negative connotation. Okay, anyway, now what are the different forms of risk? First one is the interest risk, interest rate risk, that we have invested in a bank fixed deposit or a bond where the interest rate is only 5% or 6%, and suppose we made investment for 5 years, and today we made investment, and maybe tomorrow or next week or next month the rate of interest is revised and it is increased. So that is interest rate risk. And we might be thinking that if we would have waited for one more month, then our interest rate would have been relatively higher than the interest what we are getting right now. So this is also a risk. Fine. So here the person is not making any loss, he is not incurring any loss, he is getting interest, he is getting some profit, he is getting some, or see, I'm not he or she is getting some return, but that is a risk, that he has invested in 5%, and after 1 month the rate have been revised, and it has been revised to say 6.5%, and this is also a risk. And this is also a risk from the perspective of banker also. If it is reversed, that the banker, we have made a fixed deposit in a bank, and suppose for 10 years, and the bank have promised us to give a return of 6.5%, and after 1 month the RBI have changed the interest rate and the market rate of interest have came down to 5%. And though the market rate of interest is 5%, then also the banker have to pay us an interest of 6.5%, because when we have made the contract with the bank for this fixed deposit, at that time the prevailing interest was 6.5%. So this is interest rate risk, and this is applicable for both the parties, for the banker as well as for the depositor and the customer. But okay, default risk. What is the risk that the investment that we are making, that company will make default? Recently, like in that one cooperative bank in your Maharashtra only, I'm just forgetting the name, Maharashtra Cooperative Bank, they have defaulted. Like those who have deposited their money in that bank, that cooperative bank, that bank was not able to honor the dues. That suppose I had deposited 50,000 for 5 years, and suppose 5 year is due today, and when that person went to the bank to get his or her investment realized on maturity from the bank said that we do not have cash. So they have defaulted in their promises, they have defaulted their commitment. So this is also a kind of risk. So this is default risk. Credit risk. If you have set up a business and you have given credit, and ultimately that person is not honoring their dues, that is credit risk. This is also applicable in bank also. You have given credit and bank have given credit and the person have defaulted, that is also a kind of credit risk. Sovereign risk. The entire country have repudiated the contract. This has happened in history. In 1917, when Lenin took over as a ruler in USSR, at that time one country was formed which was known as USSR, and what Lenin did, he has repudiated all the contract made by the previous Tsar and Tsarina government. What was he saying? That we are not going to honor any kind of promise, any kind of commitment made by the previous government. Okay, so that includes the government securities also. So that is sovereign risk. Just imagine for a second that if today Narendra Modi came to the television at 8 p.m. in the evening and he says that मित्रों, आज रात 12 बजे के बाद मनमोहन सिंह गवर्नमेंट ने जितने भी promises किए थे, and those who have made investment in the government security, in post office, in bank prior to 2014, we are not going to honor that. Can he do so? By practice we can say that he cannot do, but theoretically he can do. Listen to my words, theoretically. When 8 November 2016 at 8 p.m. he said that Mitro, 500 and 1000 rupees currency notes will no longer be a legal tender from 12 p.m. tonight. This he did it, and this is a kind of sovereign risk. This is possible. Sovereign risk. When Kuwait, there is a country in Middle East, Kuwait was invaded by Iraq, or any country might be invaded by another country, and that sovereign risk is there. And then in that case, the invader might be thinking not to honor the commitment, the promises, the agreements made by the previous government. That is sovereign risk. Market risk. If you have made investment in a stock market, you must be thinking, and if you are following a stock market, you must be thinking about what kind of risk it is, market risk. So market, if it is falling, that is risk. You have not done anything, you have not, your bankers are fine, you have not defaulted in any of your credit card payment, you have your government is fine, but the market is fallen down. That is market risk. Political risk. A particular political party have came into the power and they have decided not to they are of a particular ideology, and accordingly they ban something, they propagate something, they appreciate something, they uh, discourage some of the practices, and accordingly your entire business will be uh, your entire investment will be affected. One very popular case, just you search in the Google, Enron Incorporation, and this is actually related to the Davol electricity project. Davol electricity project, again in Maharashtra, was started by the government when Sharad Pawar was the chief minister in prior to 1994. And in 1994, Shiv Sena and BJP government came to the power, and this Davol electricity project, it was given, the contract was given to an American firm, and it is known as Enron Incorporation. Enron. So when Shiv Sena and BJP government came to the power, and you think that you must be knowing that the Shiv Sena and BJP government, their ideology is that Swadeshi, everything should be Swadeshi. And since the contract was given to a foreign firm, that is Enron Incorporation, American firm, so they have stopped that project, saying that since this project, the contract is given to a foreign firm, we will not going to continue this project anymore. So this is a political risk. Now it is a different story that how Enron have handled this, because Enron have also very cleverly, what they did, they have not invested much amount from their own. Only 2% of the total project cost was invested by Enron, and 98% of the entire project cost was funded by IDBI. At that time, it was not IDBI Bank, only IDBI, Industrial Development Bank of India. So IDBI have funded entire, and if that project would have to be stopped, Enron is not going to lose, or Enron is going to lose only up to the extent of 2% of the total project cost. On the contrary, IDBI is going to lose 98%, and that's why ultimately it was Manohar Joshi, who was the then Chief Minister of Maharashtra from Shiv Sena. He had to allow this project, allow Enron to continue and complete that project. So this is how political risk arises, and how this political risk was managed by the firm. Then the question is, we are talking about the return also. Now what is return? Anything that you will be getting in return for making investment will be called return. So it may be of different forms, like if you have make investment in bank, so definitely will be getting interest. This is interest. If you have made investment in equity shares or preference shares, then you will be getting return in the form of dividend. You will be getting return in the form of capital appreciation. Capital appreciation means, suppose you have made investment in equity share, and suppose right now the value of per equity share is say 160 rupees, and you made investment, you purchased those equity shares for 160 rupees, and after 1 year the value of those equity shares, they went up to say 250 rupees. So from 160 rupees to 250 rupees, how much is the appreciation? This is 90 rupees. And after 1 year, suppose if you have decided to sell all those shares, so you will be getting 250 rupees. So you made investment by paying 160 rupees per share, and after 1 year you got 250 rupees, so 90 rupees per share. And suppose you made investment in say 1000 number of shares, so 1000 into 90, that will be 90,000 will be your return. So this is called capital appreciation. Royalty, as I told you, that this is also kind of return. You have written something, some book, and your publisher is giving you royalty, so this will be called this is one form of return. You have invented something. If you have seen, this is a very popular movie, and normally it is telecasted on television, that Avatar, Rajesh Khanna, Chalo Bulawa Aaya Hai, Mata Ne Bulaya Hai. So in that movie, what he did, he has invented one engine of motor car which will be very effective for a particular type of motor cars, and in return that engine, that technology was used by one automobile company, and for using that that particular technology, that automobile company is paying royalty to Rajesh Khanna in that movie. So that is royalty. So you made investment, you developed some technology, you invented some technology, and for that you are getting some royalty. You have written something, for that you are getting royalty, so that will be another form of return. Commission is another form of return. Suppose you are doing some insurance agency, some other kind of agency business, and for that you are getting some commission, or it is brokerage. Now this commission, the word is very in the limelight in the context that the farmers from Haryana and Punjab, they are protesting, and actually this protest is of commission agents, because they are most of the commission agents in this mandis, agricultural produce market committee, those commission agents, they will become jobless, and that's why this protest is going on. So this word commission agent will be you must be hearing this word commission agent. So commission is also one kind of return. Rent, suppose you have invested in some house property, some buildings, some real estates, and then definitely you will be getting some return. So this will be another kind of return. So this is called rent. From constructing house property, other than the rent, this capital appreciation, this is also possible, because when you constructed a house property, when you bought a flat or a house property in a particular locality, suppose you bought it for 50 lakhs of rupees, you are getting immediately, you have given it to some tenant and you are getting rent, and maybe after 5 years down the line you are thinking to sell that property off, and that 50 lakhs rupees become 1 crore, and that capital appreciation is also attached to house properties. And profit, suppose you have decided to start your own business, one startup company, Startup India, so definitely you will be getting some profit. So that profit will also be a kind of return. Now when it comes to risk versus return and low return, okay. As I told you that risk and return, so low risk investment where the risk will be very low, for example bank fixed deposit, the risk is very low. Because why risk is very low? Go to the technical definition of risk. What is risk? Probability of deviation from the expected return. So suppose in savings account, what is the return we are expecting? 3.5%. And how much is the actual return? It will be 3.5%. It is not going to deviate anymore. So this is low risk investment. The risk is almost zero. And definitely a return is not zero, but return will also be very low. Okay. Medium risk investment like government securities, corporate bonds. So return will also be medium. And high risk investment like equity shares. The risk is very high. The probability of your money being sinked is also very high, but the return is also very high. So this risk and return trade-off has to be there, and accordingly, as per your risk taking profile, risk appetite, and your financial goal, whether it is a long term, mid term, or short term, you should think of making investment, and it should commensurate with the risk and return. Your return should commensurate with the risk, and according to your financial goal. So risk and return trade-off has to be maintained. We have already discussed about it. Now, one thing, eighth wonder, that is called the power of compounding. Actually, this term was coined by Albert Einstein, the great genius. The eighth wonder, power of compounding. What is power of compounding? There is a game. One king was playing one game with one of his subordinate, one of maybe the members of his court. It was the game of chess, and the king was very good in playing chess, and the person with whom he was playing chess, he was also equally good. And since he is the king, he asked his subordinate, the person with whom he was playing chess, that if you will defeat me today in the game of chess, whatever you will ask, I will give you. And that person was also very clever. If he would have said that I want this and that, then definitely it would have been a kind of dishonor to the king, and it would have been treated that he is showing his greed in front of the king. So he said that, sir, just take one piece of rice, one dana of rice. He put it on one of the square of the chess, and he said that you just move this one piece of rice to the next square, and with every moment just make it double, and you just give me the value of that rice when it will come to the 64th square. You know that in a game of chess there are 64 squares. Okay, so king said, बकवास क्या करते हो, कुछ मैं राजा हूँ भाई, मुझसे कुछ मांगो, अच्छी चीज मांगो. बोला नहीं, मुझे यही चाहिए. And you know what was the value? Just you one piece of rice, and just you keep on doubling with every moment, like when it is moved to the next box, next square, and the next square, with every moment it will be double, and when it will be double, and this process keeps on continuing till 64th box. Do you know what was the value of that rice? It is 7 times of the GDP of that country. You just make a homework, make an assignment, just keep on counting on calculator. 1, 2, 2 ka 4, 4 ka 8, 8, 16, 16, 32, 32, 64, 64, 128, 128, 256, 256, 512, 512, 1024, 2048, 2048, and then 4096. This is only, I think, 8 or 9 steps only, and just keep on doing up to 64 times. It will be almost 7 times of the country of today's GDP. It is a very big number, and this is called power of compounding. So Albert Einstein, he called it as power of compounding, and this he termed it as 8th wonder. This is just like 1 lakh rupees invested for 15 years at 12% per annum. If it is at simple interest 1 lakh, so after simple interest it will be only 2,80,000. But if it is at compound interest, 1 lakh will become 5,37,000. So just double. After 15 years, if it would have been simple interest, it is 2,80,000. If it is at compound interest, it is just double. This is power of a compounding. So again, as I told you at the beginning, the more early you will start, more time you will have to go for and to apply this power of compounding. Later on, the more you move up in your life, this power of compounding will be of less relevance. Then also you need to know about the rule of 72. Now what is rule of 72? This is also related to the power of compounding, how much time it will require to double your money. So it is rule of 72. So it's very simple. Whenever we have to make any fixed deposit, just ask the rate of interest which the bank is offering and divide that rate with 72, and the remainder, whatever the amount will be, you will be getting, the number, that will be the time required to double your investment. Okay, 72 divided by rate of return equal to time for investment to double. Suppose if you are getting a return of 12%, so 72 divided by 12 will be 6. Means if your money keeps on growing at the rate of 12% with compound interest, so within 6 years your money will become double. If you are getting a return, suppose you have made investment in a mutual fund, and that mutual fund is giving you a return of say 24%. So definitely the time that will be requiring to make your money double is 3 years only. Okay. Now India's economy is just little over 2.5 trillion, and Modi ji is dreaming to make India a 5 trillion economy. Means from 2.5 to 5 trillion we need to double our economy. So if 72 divided by 24, if our economy grows at the rate of 24, then within 3 years time will be required to double our total economy, our GDP. 3 years will be required if our economy grows at what rate? 24%. But now what is the growth rate of our economy? In the last quarter it was minus 23.9. In the current quarter it is minus 7%, 7 plus. Prior to Corona, the growth rate was just around 7%. So if our economy keeps on growing, suppose this Corona is an exceptional period and you eliminate this Corona. So prior to Corona, the growth rate of India was 7%. So 72 divided by 7, it is approximately 10 years. So if our economy grows at the rate of 7%, so it will require 10 years time to become a 5 trillion economy. So we are in 20. So from henceforth, in 2030, our economy will be a 5 trillion economy, and our dream to make India a 5 trillion economy by the year 2024, it is relatively, it seems to be less realistic given the current situations. Then another culprit that you need to know about is the inflation. So I think this picture, this diagram itself is very sufficient to illustrate what this inflation is doing all about. So with $5, $4.9, if 5 years back we are getting this much size of pizza, now we are getting this much, almost a quarter of that only. So this is all because of this culprit, inflation. And not earning return to beat inflation is also a risk. And at the time when at the beginning I told you that not taking any risk is also a biggest risk. So suppose right now we have say 100 rupees, and within 100 rupees we can buy one piece of pizza, and after 1 year the cost of this pizza will be say 105 rupees, assuming that the rate of inflation is 5%. So after 1 year, 100, whatever this 100 rupees can buy, 105 rupees will be required to buy the same amount of goods and services. And if we kept our money in a bank savings account, which will be giving us a return of 3.5% only, so after 1 year this 100 rupees will become 103.5. So still we are short of 1.5 rupees. So in fact we have lost money, we have not earned. So that's why not taking any risk is in fact the biggest risk, because here we have lost money. How much? 1.5% without doing anything, and we are thinking that we are playing safe. Another way to reduce market risk is the diversification. So diversification is that you should diversify your investment, not putting all your eggs in one basket. So you should diversify, that you should make some investment in stocks, some in currency, cryptocurrency, gold and cash. Even in the stock, you should not invest only in one particular stock. You should have variety of stocks. For example, tea and coffee are two totally unrelated stocks. So either a person will be drinking tea or a person will be drinking coffee. If a person will start drinking tea, then the companies who are selling tea like Tata Tea, Lipton Tea, Hindustan Unilever, they will become profitable stocks, because the people will start drinking tea. People's taste and preferences will tilted in respect of tea, and that's why tea stocks are in demand. Tea companies will be making more profit. So this is one thing. But if that person's preference is towards coffee, then definitely simultaneously I cannot drink tea and coffee both. Either I will be drinking tea or I will be taking coffee. So if I start drinking coffee, and people like me and many people have start drinking coffee, then definitely the companies which are selling coffee, they will be making more profit, and those stocks will be more profitable. Like Nestle is known for coffee. Okay. So if I make investment in a part of my investment in tea and part of my investment in coffee, so that whatever may be the situation, whether the person will start drinking tea or coffee, ultimately my overall return is not going to be affected drastically. So that is called diversification. So one should think of diversifying their portfolio as well. Then savings and investment in India, many times we just make mistake that we compare or we equate savings with investment. Saving is one thing, but savings need to be properly invested in order to build a very strong capital base. So savings, it means simply to keep money aside, but that money has to be invested. So that investment requires efforts to make the money that is kept aside to grow. So we will be making investment in properties, stocks, bank fixed deposit, government security, so that this money, it keeps on growing. And saving is relatively simple and hassle-free. Saving is simply just reduce your expenses, you will have some savings. But investment is not that simple. It requires some time. You have to make some investment, you have to make some decision, you have to devote some time, effort to generate return and reduce risk. So where do Indians lack? As an Indians, we are very good savers. I think in India, on an average, a person saves almost 28% of our total income we save. But where actually we lack is the investment part. We are not very good investors. Then this comes about the saving and investment risk and return. We should also know about the loans also. We might be requiring to take some loan if our immediate financial goals we are not able to achieve with our current savings and investment, then we need to take loan. But one should remember that loan should only be taken when it is absolute necessity. Number two, loan should be avoided. Remember, I am using the term avoided. Loan should be avoided for any kind of consumption expenditure. If loan is taken, and it is always advisable that loan should be taken for some capital expenditure that will help you in creating some assets, then that is always advisable. So that is actually the funda of loan. So it depends upon your financial health, it depends upon your requirement, and these are some of the credit card and personal loans. They are the most costliest loans, and that should be avoided. Credit card, if it is used judiciously, it can give you some extra benefit, so that the money in your bank account, you can remain you can keep your money in the bank account and up to 45 days, and after 45 days you are making credit card bill payment, so that is giving you extra float of money, and you can earn some interest also. Personal loan, the costliest loan, it should be avoided to the extent possible. Housing loan, car loan, then development loan for setting up some industries or some businesses. This is development loans. There are various categories of loans are there. Microcredit for small people, for people especially in the rural areas, or those who are from the below poverty line, for them this microfinance schemes are there. So they are microcredit, and microcredits are also very costliest loan, though a lot of hype has been created in media that microcredit and microfinance is reducing poverty, but you should remember this microcredit is the costliest loan that people have to take, and this microcredit people are taking those who do not have access to the formal banking channel. Credit card, as I told you that sometimes if these are misused, then it can be very dangerous weapon. Non-payment of money attract huge interest, so always you should pay money in time. Extra float if used properly. Financial market, if we have to make another avenues of investment is the financial market. So financial market is the marketplace where the trading of financial assets occurs. And what is financial asset and what is market? A group of buyers and sellers, and financial assets are the financial claims. Okay. Now, where to invest? So one such very popular investment vehicle, very talked about investment vehicle, being a student of corporate finance, is equity shares. So equity shares, it represents ownership in the company, means those who have invested in equity shares, it is treated as they are just like the owners in that company, though they are not exactly the owner, but the treatment is like that only because the return given to the equity shareholders are just like the owners. Like, what is the return to the owner? After meeting all expenses, whatever is left, that the residual income is the income of the owners of a business. So is the case with the equity shares. After meeting all expenses, after meeting all interest, meeting all the taxes, if something is left, that belongs to the equity shares. So that represent ownership in the company, and return depends on the profit made by the company. As I told you that the returns are not guaranteed, the returns are not fixed. It depends on the profit made by the company. If the company has made profit, definitely equity shareholders will be given return. In what form? In the form of dividend. But if the company has not earned suitable profit, adequate profits, no dividend may be given. Dividends are not guaranteed. It will only be given when company will be making sufficient profit and the company declares that dividend. Okay, if I have invested in equity share, I cannot force the company to pay dividend. So that's why, since it is very volatile, so it is good for long-term horizon. Like those, now how much is the long term? So more is the time, more is it is better. For example, rupees 10,000 invested in Wipro and its current worth is around 800 crore. Remember, 10,000 rupees in 81, and the value of those 10,000 rupees right now in 2020 is around 800 crore. Rupees 10,000 invested in Infosys in 1996, it is around 2 crore right now after 20 years. Rupees 10,000 invested in Reliance in 1985, it is more than 3 crore right now. So that's why equity is very lucrative but very risky, but it should be always for the long term. So if you have your investment goals, your financial goals are you have to meet some short term financial goal, you should avoid equity. But if you have some long term financial goal, you should also always go for equity. And one principle is there that most of the persons in investment industry they follow: 100 minus your age should be the proportion of equity in your total investment portfolio. So suppose if your age is 20 years, so 100 minus 20, 80. So 80% should be the total component of equity, volume of equity shares, proportion of equity share in your overall portfolio. And suppose someone is of 50 years of age, so the proportion of equity in their portfolio, it should be 50%, because 100 minus 50, 50. If someone is of 60 years of age, so definitely you can just see that more is the age, lesser is the component of equity. So if you want to invest in equity, what are the things that you require? You require a Demat account. Earlier, maybe 10 years prior to now, this Demat account was not compulsory, so one was allowed to invest in equity share in physical form also. But now, if you do not have Demat account, you cannot invest in equity shares. So Demat account is the most important and most required and compulsory thing if you want to invest in equity. Then there are two things like primary market and secondary market, how to invest in equity. So you can invest in primary market, you can invest in secondary market. Now what is primary market and what is secondary market? Financial market, as I told you, that's market for the financial assets. It is of two types: capital market and money market. Capital market is the market for long-term securities. Money market is the market for short-term securities. But here, when I'm uttering the word long-term and short-term, I am talking about as per the corporate finance dictionary. That money market, short-term, it means that all the instruments whose maturity period is of less than 1 year, they will be the subject matter of money market. And all the securities whose maturity period or who are of more than 1 year duration, they are of long-term and they will be the subject matter of capital market. The capital market, again, it is of two types. That is a money market also of two types: primary market and secondary market. Now what is primary market? If the securities are issued for the first time, that company is issuing security. So company is issuing equity shares for the first time. So here the moment of security will company is issuing and who is buying? The investors are buying. So that is primary market. But once the investor have bought the security, then its subsequent dealing, subsequent trading will be in the secondary market. So once, suppose I bought a security from a company and then I want to sell it to some other persons, so that will be a subject matter of secondary market. So primary market and secondary market. In primary market also, it can be in the form of initial public offer, it can be in the form of follow-on public offer, it can be in the form of right issue, it can be in the form of bonus issue. I'm not going in detail about this, so that will we can, if time permits, we can discuss sometime later. Then in the secondary market, the important thing is the stock exchange. Like if I bought a security, a equity share or a preference share, where should I sell it? I want to sell, so definitely I cannot go back to the company, say I have purchased a security of Reliance, and after some time I'm in need of money, so I cannot go to Mukesh Ambani ji and say that, see Mukesh Ambani ji, I have bought security equity shares from Reliance and now take back my shares and give my money back. I cannot do that. This is not allowed. So what should I do? I will be going to stock exchange, and there I will be finding some other persons who are interested in buying the shares issued by Reliance Industries, and then they will buy it. I can sell it and they will buy it. So its subsequent trading will be is done in stock exchange. So stock exchange, the function is that stock exchange, that's why it helps in determination of the price, the continuous price determination. Then fund mobilization, liquidity, risk sharing, easy access, reduction in transaction cost, capital formation, all these are the different functions of capital market, secondary market especially. Another investment vehicle is mutual fund. If I do not know where to invest, I am not sure about what kind of equity shares are good, what kind of equity shares are not good, where should I invest, where I should not invest. And because investment in equity share, it requires some degree of expertise, some knowledge, and I need to devote some time also. But I do not have anything. Neither I have time nor I have expertise, and I also do not have sufficient money also, because there are some shares in the market. Suppose one share of Reliance is of around 2000 rupees, but I want to invest only 1000 rupees. So definitely I cannot buy shares of Reliance. But like two persons like me, I have 1000 rupees and one more person who is also having 1000 rupees. Both of them can accumulate our funds, and with combined worth we can purchase the shares in Reliance, that is 2000 rupees. So all the things are possible with the help of mutual fund. So mutual funds are professionally managed pool of funds. Here professionals are there. We can hire some professional, so they will be managing money on our behalf, and it's a pool of fund. As I told you, that pool of fund, I am contributing 1000, you are contributing 1000, other person is contributing 1000. So it's a combined pool of fund which is invested in the stocks and professionally managed. It's good for the beginners because initially you may not have expertise, you may not have idea about the market, equity market. So it's good for the beginners. And here also diversification at low cost, these benefits are available for the beginners, because if I have only 5000 rupees, so nanga nahayega kya nichodega kya. So if I have only 5000 rupees, so how much diversification I can have? I can only purchase one shares or two shares at the most. But there are lakhs and lakhs of people who have only this 5000, 1000, 2000 rupees. So with this we can there is a huge fund of money, and that pool of money can be invested in mutual fund, through mutual fund in the stocks, and ultimately we can have that diversification, we can be benefited from the diversification. Insurance in India, still people consider insurance as an investment, but my dear friends, insurance is insurance only, it is not investment. So take insurance for the purpose of insurance only, not for the purpose of investment. Though there are some investment, some products like ULIP, unit linked insurance plan, they also fall within the category of investment vehicle. So if it is there, then it is good, but otherwise treat insurance as insurance only, pure insurance. Systematic investment plan, it is just like RD, recurring deposit, that people used to do in bank. So every month in RD we used to deposit a certain sum of money, say for example 1000 rupees, 2000 rupees every month for 1 year or 2 years or 5 years, and that money will become that money will grow along with that principal plus interest, and then that is RD. So systematic investment plan, instead of bank, if you have decided to invest a certain sum of money through mutual fund in the stock market, so that will become systematic investment plan. So it gives us the benefit of averaging. Suppose sometimes the market is very high, so suppose we are investing 1000 rupees, so with 1000 will be allotted some units. So with 1000 divided by the market value, that is called NAV, net asset value, so will be allotted some units. So when the market is very high, so definitely the net asset value, NAV of that mutual fund will also be very high, so we will be allotted lesser number of units. And suppose next month market is very low or market is low, so the NAV will be lesser, So for the same amount, that say 1000 rupees we are contributing, we will be allotted more number of people. So ultimately in the long run, sometimes it will be higher, sometimes it will be lower. So we can have the benefit of averaging. Protect money. So for that you need to rebalance your portfolio periodically. Weed out bad investment. If you have made some bad investment, just weed out, just disinvest them. You should not be emotional with any kind of investment. You should not marry with your investment, rather you should just date with the investment. If it is not good, just leave it, just disinvest it from your portfolio. If you are not able to understand equities, avoid direct investment, go through the mutual fund. But mutual fund with established track record. Not all mutual funds are good, but the mutual funds with established track records, even within that mutual funds, some lot of schemes are there. So only those schemes which have very good track record, invest in those schemes only. Another investment vehicle, that is PPF, and I advise at the beginning I told you that I will refrain from advising anything, but I cannot restrict myself from advising, because this is the advice I used to give to everyone, that everyone must have their PPF account in your name, because this gives you a very risk-free rate of interest, guaranteed return, tax benefit, you can have loan facility, and it is of 15 years time duration. It is locked for, and initially it will be locked for 5 years, and in the adverse time, this unique feature of PPF is that it cannot be attached by the liquidator also. Even if that person becomes insolvent, his PPF cannot be attached. So this is, one should have PPF account. One must have this PPF account, irrespective of your financial health, whether you are a rich person or poor person, or you have good income or bad income. You must have this PPF account in your portfolio. How to begin? So the thing is very clear. One should have some documents as identity proof. So your PAN card, passport, driving license will be your identity proof. So whether you want to open a Demat account or bank account or PPF account, you should have identity proof. This is known to you. You should have some document which can establish your address proof. Then you have to comply with the KYC norms, and ultimately you can start it. Demat account, as I told you, that it is compulsory requirement to invest in equity shares, that is electronic record of equities, and along with Demat account, one also should have trading account. A Demat account is just like a godown, and trading account is your showroom. So you should have a trading account through which you can invest immediately in the equities, and later on your equities will be transmitted to your Demat account. So Demat account and trading account, both of them will be opened by any of the depository participant simultaneously. Then in case of grievances, we should also know about some of the regulators. So I will be just mentioning the name only of those regulators. If you have any problem with respect to capital market, equities investment, SEBI is the regulator, and you can just file your complaint. There are some forums which will just Google it, and you'll find SEBI will be your savior. If you have any problem with commodity market, then Forward Market Commission is regulator. If you have any investment problem with the insurance policy, then IRDA will be the regulator. RBI is regulating banks. PFRDA is related to the pensions. Investor Protection, Education and Protection Fund Authority, this is related to the investor protection. And Ministry of Corporate Affairs will be about the companies. If you have any grievance with respect to the management and working of the companies, you can go to the MCA. And finally, Ministry of Finance, which is the ultimate. If you have to make any kind of appeal, you can go to the Ministry of Finance, other than this judicial options. So this is all about from my side. Thanks for the patient listen.